GM guys, welcome to another weekly roundup for the Touchgrass podcast. Unfortunately, today Ishan couldn't make it, but we have Hamza here back again. Super excited for this week and big day today for crypto as well with Circle IPO and a lot of big stuff is happening that could kind of paradigm shifting news and announcements that have been coming out with JP Morgan announcing they'll accept loans for Bitcoin ETFs, and so much of the stuff is happening in the Solana trenches, even in the Hyperliquid trenches. And we just want to cover some really cool stuff this week. And before we get into that, just want to take you over through some of the market stuff. Uh, yeah, so I think Hamza, I think you were pretty spot on with your shot, and I don't know if you're still holding it. I think it's looking really good. Uh, but yeah, Bitcoin is at 104 K. It's just below the resistance at 106. ETH is relatively strong, and Solana is just dying, and all the Sol memes are dying, and even the virtuals has been very weak, and Hyperliquid kind of bounced back to the 38K, 38 level, 39 level, previous all-time high, and has rejected from it. And a lot of weakness in the market, and it looks like instead of joyful June, we are getting sell in May to have a joyful June.
Hmm.
uh, I know, like maybe Xi Jinping is the next Owen, but yeah, Hamza, how is your positioning looking right now? And we can get into the Hyperliquid stuff.
Uh, yeah, I did close my short around. I was BTC and hype short until last week. I think last weekend, because it was. I mean, it was. I was up like almost 100% on my BTC short. So like I closed it at 90. It went to 120%, but like I closed it at 92% or something like that. And I didn't look back. But I bought back hype with all that more at 31 or 32 or something like that, and when it went up to 37 or something, I'm still holding all that. But I think my like everything that I'll be doing in the next few months or whatever is just to uh, buy more hype related assets, more NFTs, hype NFTs, more like memes on hype or like whatever. So like that's going to be like the singular bet for everything.
Yeah,
But
I
I'm
think
like
I
but I'm like
K-
50% cash. That also.
KG, I think we can just rename this to like a Hyperliquid Weekly because KG, pull up the coin gecko again. One thing that's really interesting that I've been thinking a lot about this week is, we've actually never seen a token break top 10 in a while. And Hyperliquid's probably the single one. So, what the one thing that Santi said on Empire, I think a few weeks ago, was the top 20 has always been like generational coins. And you see like the, single ticker here and there, like Sui, pop up and enter the top 20. For a coin to actually enter the top 10, like that would change a lot of paradigms for crypto. So I'm really interested to see that. I think if you look at like the flippening, it's like a 2x from here for Hyperliquid. So
Wait,
that's
didn't Ton break into top 10?
yeah, it's there. Dawn is 19th. It's broken
It
into
broke into
top
top 10 also, I think. No, I think it broke into top 10 last year
Yeah,
somewhere.
yeah. It when it hit around $9 or
Ah,
something,
the
and
Binance listing,
uh,
yeah.
10. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So it did hit top 10, and right now like they're doing some stuff. I mean, partnership with X and stuff, but I don't know. I think Hyperliquid will be the first. Every time there will be a very new coin entering the top 10. Like last time it was Solana, this time it could be Hyperliquid. And I think we will see like this Cardano, all these I don't know about XRP, but maybe probably Cardano will
XRP is
be.
not going anywhere. XRP is not going anywhere. No way.
Yeah, yeah, no way. Yeah, yeah, definitely, bro. I think even how I'm positioned is as well, where even though I want to believe that the summer is going to be very bullish, I think it's better to be defend on the defensive end. Where right now, how I'm thinking is over the last 12 months, every first week of the month has been bearish. So we usually put in the month low in the first week and then just continue to rally, unless there's like a big tariff kind of thing happening, we just bleed out and there's no strength at all. Right now, if you're bullish, I think that's your base case where this week we put in some low and we just grind up into the entire month. But I think there's weakness across the market. Memes have been bleeding out. Nothing is showing strength. And I don't know, like ETH is currently showing strength. I don't know what to make of that. But yeah, I mean, some people are saying DeFi somewhere again. But yeah, we'll get into that. But the first thing, Hamza, I think we want to talk about
Sorry, KG,
is
just bumping in. Hamza, do you still like? Are you continuing to believe the Soul ETH stuff you said last week about it?
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
I think one more thing that I've been thinking about this week, and this came as a thought after so Wormhole essentially bridged Solana to Avalanche now. We've traditionally seen Bitcoin and ETH be the assets that people want on different chains, and they've like maybe some liquid staked version or whatever. Now Sol's entering that category. I've been thinking a lot about what that means for Hyperliquid and Hyper EVM. Hamza, do you think the case for the Hyper EVM is to actually build utility for Hype on the chain and then actually have the asset be on other chains so that people who are not essentially bullish perpdex or chain, they can actually have exposure on other chains, and it's part of like a broader build out strategy, and that's how they will accrue value and stuff? Do you think that's also something the team's thinking about?
I mean, that's not something for the team to think, right? Like that anyone can do it. Like you can just have hype and you can use whatever, like you said, wormhole, to just bridge it to Sol. Like I know, like now BNB is being used by Unit to bring here. So I know that's for sure. So yeah. I mean, it makes sense.
yeah, yeah. I think like that's like one of the like not a priority right now where the asset has to be everywhere, and people are. I think we still haven't gotten to a stage where everyone is pitching to Hyperliquid like they have done for Solana, where everyone is onboarding to Solana, try it out. I don't think we are at that stage for Hyperliquid, even though it's massive. Yeah, I think we'll get to Hyperliquid in a second, but the biggest story right now is the PumpFun ICO that's happening. So PumpFun is like I would say it's like the biggest crypto breakout app of the cycle. People have controversial takes on it. Most people hate it, like VCs love it or whatever. I personally think it's like the best app that came out this cycle. Probably Hyperliquid will top it, but the most in terms of attention so far, it has been PumpFun. It has generated over 700 million in revenue. They are currently aiming to raise $1 billion at 4 billion valuation. What do you guys think about, first of all, them raising after making 700 million? And is the valuation justified?
I think before that, Hamza, I saw this. There was a stat of like pump fund users and their profits. Where do you rank on that? In terms of like profits on pump.
I think I've
Top
made these.
10.
I mean, no. But like, I I have. Uh, I think I have made decent, but like nothing serious. But like, yeah, I'm not negative. That's for sure. Like either it was the internet. Sorry, the AI meta last year. I don't know if you would call it like pump fund via pump fund, but like I don't think AI16Z AI16Z was good, but like I'm not sure, well, like whatever, but like yeah, net positive, but like I have not been, to be very honest, I have not been following the pump fund thing. I don't think I don't know who's left to buy it. Like that's my thing. I don't know who's gonna buy that token when you are seeing the last. I think it's like the last extraction left. I don't know if I want to participate. It's like OpenSea or Blur doing the token towards the later end after making all the fees. So like, um, I don't know. Like I am not participating. I'll see if they drop or whatever it happens, but like I'm not too interested.
Yeah, do
Do
you
you think?
think like if they
Do you think?
don't do the airdrop, the soul trenches are dead? And if they do
Oh
the airdrop,
oh
the soul
yeah.
trenches are back?
So, yes, I agree on both of the statements.
Yeah, and also like I've seen this argument, right? Like they have made 700 million and That's like you can't see past performance to future, and that's an argument. But don't you think like 4 billion valuation is kind of justified? Whereas there are so many protocols at 4 billion, they don't make that kind of revenue. And even if you
Yeah,
compare it to even if you compare it to Hyperliquid, they make $1 billion, and right now they're valued at I don't know 12, $13 billion. So don't you think like that way when you look at it, it's justified, and they are able to raise that amount of money? And I think like it's a bullish thing for me, but everyone this they're kind of labeling it as extraction. I don't believe in that kind of argument. Extraction because so many people lost money and in fees and stuff like that, but it created a whole new set of businesses with Photon and all this stuff. So how do you see like the valuation side of things?
I think valuation is pretty straightforward. Yeah, I think it's decent. I think I would be a buyer. I don't know, like 1-2 bill. But like the problem is like the number, that the revenue number that is being quoted. How is it? Is it a 3 month trailing? Is it a 6 month trailing? Is it a 9 month trailing? What is it like? Because if the 3 month trailing number will be very different from a 6 month trailing, and the 6 month number would be very different from a 9 month or a 12 month. So like, I don't know this 300 million, whatever the revenue, 700 million, whatever that is. I'm sure most of the money would be, most of the revenue would be. I'm sure you can find like charts and whatnot. Like
Yeah,
most of the number would be Q4, Q1, and Q1 last year and Q4 last year. So like outside of that, and like I'm sure the numbers would be dying down now because you have so many competitors like the Bonk, and so many, like there are like five of them in the last 3 months. So like I think it's very similar to like the NFT marketplaces like LooksRare, OpenSea, Blur, then God knows so many other schemes. So like I don't want to buy. Yeah, I don't know. Like
yeah. I think if it kind of has that usual TGE pattern where it pumps and it kind of bleeds for the next 1 or 2 months and then it forms a bottom and sentiment is dead, then I think it's a good buy. What will be very interesting to watch is the kind of reaction Solana will have, because everyone bought, and the whole upward like activity on Solana is because people had to buy Sol to trench in all these on-chain stuff. Every pair is denominated in Sol, so you had to buy Sol. Everyone used Sol for their activity and whatnot, and taking profits into Sol. Now, obviously, they will not give that value back to Sol, right? They'll just use their own token. Everything will be under pump. And how do you see this kind of play out for Solana? Where I've seen like some people like Ansem and everyone is saying probably this is like the top, and maybe slow bleed for memes, and other categories have to take over for Solana to keep its kind of position.
yeah, I mean, like I said, I have not looked into the tokenomics. I don't think anything is public, like the like official. So like if someone is saying, or some like, there are also weird sorts of like speculation and whatnot. So, but like I said, like I'm not too interested on it. Like maybe 1 year down the line, if it's at 500 mil FDV, then sure. Like like I bought Blur. I made a decent amount of money on Blur. First airdrop farming it, the season one, and then when it was at 23 bottom. But like in between, I just didn't care about it. So like, um, so yeah, I don't know. I'm not that interested. I think it's just too much PvP over there.
Yeah, I think one other thing I'll be focusing on, like, will they even be able to raise $1 billion? Is that like another question for me? Whereas, like, who
And
is buying
they can just
at
fill it.
this in this market?
They can just fill it themselves. Like some part of it, like 30-40% of it, just to show that okay, they've done it. Like big deal.
Yeah, I
Bro,
mean, it's
KG,
really interesting, right?
something even more interesting. So, the original investors from Pump, the Pump team actually. So this is speculative. I've only heard this through like a person who heard this from a person who heard this. They actually bought out all the investors who had token allocation. Like I think they still have equity. So no original investor has a token allocation. So I would assume those previous token investors are now reinvesting based on the returns that they've made, and that's how they're going to fill up primarily most of what they're doing. And then, as Hamza said, they'll probably do it themselves. But like, if you think about the scale at which PumpFun can operate, like, memes are not going anywhere. The way that they can virtualize the stack to do more things, like, I know I say this about everything, and I said this about Hyperliquid the other day, but PumpFun could actually buy out like a smaller centralized exchange. They could actually be what Moonshot wants to be with the launchpad they have, with the brand name they have. So I think they'll, like, if they show the roadmap, and I saw someone tweet this out. I think 0x Jose, like, he tweeted out that these guys have a lot on the roadmap. I think that's probably what they're gonna do. It's replace.
One funny thing you mentioned about the pump fund investors was I have a group chat with them from 2022 because they were building. I forgot the name what it was exactly back then. They were building NFT finance. When one of the co-founders was like, "Do you want to invest in the NFT finance project?" Late end of 22, I think it was Q3 or maybe Q1 23. I don't remember. I think it was Q1 23. And I was like deep into NFT finance with, like, you mentioned 0x Jose, the founder of NFT Pub. Like, I was doing a bunch of shit on there. So I was to talk with him oftenly, like Wasabi, NFT Pub, like Goblin Sacks, like all these like NFT finance stuff. Like, I was deep on it because I had a bunch of NFTs. I had bought a bunch of Miladies. So like I wanted to like take a bunch of loans, collateralize all of that stuff. And I remember these guys, like even 0x Omnia, like the Hyperliquid guys, like I know them from like the NFT finance days. And that's why, like, when I read about, so when they became Pump Fun, and I was like, oh, maybe I should have invested, like it was like a 10 mil or 15 mil or something. I forgot what was the NFT finance project, but like, I mean, it is what it is. So like, uh, yeah, I mean, so you mentioned one thing, memes are not going anywhere. Since you mentioned this and we were outlining the NFTs versus memes thing, what if they go away like NFTs? What if, like, everyone said
Yeah, I
NFTs are
think
not anywhere, and everyone said like NFTs are not going anywhere. And of course, like the big ones like CryptoPunk is still there. Yeah, that's it. CryptoPunk is the only thing left. So like, sure, you will
Hamza, like,
see.
that's because you're a holder of punks. Like, I have not met a new buyer of punks in a very long time. If I'm being
No,
honest.
no. What, like, didn't you see the the museum that Ribbit guys are going to set up? Like, everyone is going to buy a punk. I know like 10 buyers who have bought in the last 1 year
So yeah.
since Trump inauguration, since Trump election. So sorry, what was I saying? I think what if they go away? Like, what if like it's just that like everyone is launching NFT collections across all the chains, right? Like AVAX had it, Polygon had it, Solana had it, everyone had, everywhere there was NFTs. And everyone was like, oh, this is the future of IP, this is the future of blah blah blah, you know D Gods is going to flip Apple or some shit like that. Like, all that stuff was there. But then, I mean, sure, everyone believed that back then, but like, what if meme coins go away? Like, what if the current form of memes go away and you don't need something of such high velocity like a pump fun to just keep churning out new memes? And what if like the big four or the big five, uh like, whatever, like Bonk, Pepe, Doge is much bigger than pump fun, so like forget Doge. But like, these like three, four, five memes just stay and just everything else dies. Like,
Yeah, I think the argument for that is because people have seen there have been so many cases where people put in like $100 and they're made millions. That I don't think that happened on the same scale during the
no,
NFT season.
they happened. No, 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 no. I know a lot of people who made a shit ton of money on Solana NFTs. Like Solana, the first run of Solana NFTs, Solana 2021 was all NFTs. Was only NFTs. My whole like Solana NFTs were insane.
I
So,
can probably
but yes,
give you
I I agree. Not as much as meme coins, but decently enough. Yeah.
No,
I think
Hamza, I'll tell you the flip side of this, like NFTs versus meme coins. I've thought about this a lot as well. I remember when I was getting into the space 2022 and like this whole NFT thing was happening. Buying an NFT was a larger price commitment for me back in the day when I didn't have that much money. For instance, aping into a meme coin a lot more simpler. The liquidity is a lot more easier. Like I remember buying an NFT and not being able to sell it, and then I just lost money because no one was buying it. So I think that aspect of it makes it better than an NFT. But I do agree, like if you think about like the hype cycles and you think about what people are bullish on, there is a case where meme coins probably go away, but it is a better investment vehicle or like a
Oh yeah,
speculation vehicle.
I'm not comparing. No. I'm not comparing by any means. I agree that memes are better than meme coins are better than NFTs, but I'm just saying, just the velocity and just the whole barrage of everyone is like, oh, memes are the future, and blah blah blah. But like, what if they're not there like as much
Yeah.
as this time? So
I think, yeah. So I think a good way I like to think of memes as when the environment is very risk on, just shove everything into memes. When environment is very risk off, don't touch memes. Like I think there'll be periods, long periods of in the market where memes will die. Like they'll never make sense for anyone. But when market turns bullish, all these memes will do 5x, 10x in a couple of weeks. We have seen this with Peanut and all these dog shit, right? Like they were at 20 million market cap. Bitcoin hit all time high. This thing ran 20x in 2 weeks, right? I mean, it's like an outlier. It was an outlier. I don't know what kind of crime happened there, but it's those things happen, and I think memes bounce the strongest when it's very risk on. And right now, like Fartcoin is the best example, right? When it's risk on, it runs the hardest. When it's off, and it's kind of the first thing to kind of bleed. We're seeing that, and also, like in the last pod, as Ishan said, the meme coin space needs more structure. And I saw some stats saying PumpFun in the last 18 months, or I don't know, what, 2 years or something, released 24 million meme coins. 24 million coins is insane. And what would be very interesting to watch if they do the airdrop is there have been so many scammers and so many people who launched thousands of coins and did ton of volume. How will
Bro,
they be rewarded?
what if the snipers get the airdrop, bro? Like I'm just gonna be
Yeah,
outraged, bro.
yeah,
I'm
exactly,
sure
right? Like,
I'm sure they will.
yeah, they will. How can they like the process of like filtering that is very complicated, I feel. And they did, like, even if they are snipers, they did add value to that company, right? Like they did
Yep.
add
Yep.
fees, revenue, all of that is still a thing.
NFT sniping was there. NFT sniping was there. Blur market makers got that. Like, so it's the same thing. How is it different?
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be super interesting. I mean, I'm not allocated to a single Soul coin. I'm not into any memes. I don't own Soul anymore. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. But whatever happens, I think the move will be explosive to either side. If it's like sentiment is bullish around it, I think everything will fly. But if it's not, I think everything will just it'll be a big liquidity suck. I think we're already seeing it, and it's just going to be more violent, I feel, when the actual move down happens. But yeah, it's going to be super interesting. The next thing I want to talk about, Hamza, is Circle IPO. It's so funny, right? Like when the S1 released, everyone said this company is not making any money. They're kind of giving that value so much to Coinbase. And few weeks back, they were reportedly like going to sell it to Ripple or Coinbase, and there was this bidding contest, 6 billion, 7 billion, they said. And right now, I last I checked, it's going to be open at $62. And the IPO price is at $31, and it was 23 times oversubscribed. What do you kind of make of this kind of this kind of institutional bid and appetite for crypto stocks? Uh, do you see this kind of kicking off everyone's plans to IPO, like Kraken is going to do in the next couple of months or something like that? What do you make of Circle IPO?
I mean, USDC to $2. That's what I make of it by end of day. the way it is. Even I heard a bunch of stuff like, oh, Ripple is gonna do this, and what else did I hear? Yeah, they're like, I am hearing from my friends and capital allocators that no one wants to buy Circle, and it's not getting subscribed and blah blah blah. But like, just look at it today, like it's pretty crazy. However, so like, 1 second, how much does $76 make it in terms of market cap?
Is it like 10 billion or something? Uh,
Yeah.
I think it's upwards of 10 billion. Uh,
It's 88 now.
it's 88.
Wow.
It just opened, I think.
Yeah, it just opened. 17 bill. Wow. Uh, wow.
Just look at that.
Yeah, that's crazy. Oh yeah, I was looking at interactive. Yeah, like this is crazy. Um, I don't know if they're gonna airdrop it to these holders. That'll be pretty lit. But
Yeah.
Oh, they can't. You can't trade it for 3 months. That what you're telling me? It's locked.
Yeah. So for 180 days, right? Like for other uh when something like Coinbase or other ETF like stocks related to crypto were launched, it was like mostly exit liquidity. Here, like the insiders can't sell for 3 months, right, Hamza? So like the next 3 months, we could see this trading at, I don't know, it's already at 88. I don't know how high it will go, but it's very bullish for the next 3 months. And I don't know, like everyone says it is marking like a local top or whatever, but I see like if I don't know if Bitcoin holds and Ethereum is bullish, this could like start. Don't you think like this starts like a DeFi stablecoin somewhere
wait,
where
I
uh
didn't understand the 3 month part. Sorry, I didn't understand the 3 month part.
yeah,
Can
so
you?
when you I so they the insiders place they can't sell open market like for 3 months, right? I have so
Uh,
I've they can't like insta dump on you and uh, I don't think like they have to wait for 3 months, at least that's what I read. I don't know. So I think that's why we are seeing we it's not like your exit liquidity immediately. uh, but yeah, I mean this is like insanely bullish for I don't know, like I've heard few takes on this that Circle performing really well and it could spill over to crypto DeFi, whereas stuff like Maker and ETH coins or Aave and stuff like that can do well. And on the other side, I've heard that they are just weak betas to something like Circle. If you want exposure, just buy Circle, I've heard. What do you think? Like, if Circle does really well, do you think it spills over to some of these ETH betas? Do you think?
Nah, bro.
I
I
don't
don't
know.
think so.
I don't think
I
so.
don't. So you
Yeah.
know what? You know what it will spill over to? So I don't know if you've seen the stat, but Coinbase actually makes more money per USDC than Circle. I think Coinbase is just gonna rip. Like once they do
Oh,
performance,
yeah, 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 I agree. That I
I think
agree
Coin.
on. Oh, did Coin
Yeah,
pump today? Oh, that I
I
didn't
don't.
even think of.
So I think
That
that's gonna be interesting. I think when a lot of funds see that, I think it's bullish coin a
Wait,
lot
but
more. The other
does oh, that's a good point. But like, if it gets listed now, does any of the profit share or any of the revenue share change?
no, it just becomes more public. I would assume it
But
doesn't change.
but I think like when it comes to coin, right? Like I have like mixed views because I think Hamza, you mentioned this a lot. Like you said, the trade of the remaining of the year is Hyperliquid and Robinhood. I just think I don't know if you have seen the recent stats for Robinhood. They have added, I don't know, 2.3 million credit card users, and their crypto usage has gone up by 30%, and insane number of volumes, everything all time high, all time high, all time high, and they have this insane demand, and the crypto thing is gonna conference or keynote is gonna come soon. I just think if you want to bet on a crypto exchange and crypto like business, I think Robinhood is a better play than Coinbase, and the sentiment for Coinbase is pretty low, uh, and the number of the volume, like there's nothing stopping Robinhood to take more market share from Coinbase. They can just launch their own L2. They can just launch whatever they want. Everything is open source. They can just fork everything and they launch whatever they want.
So KG,
But I think like
every exchange is launched in L2. Right, Base is the only one that's actually succeeded. They're the only one that are actually contributing back to coin holders as well. So I think it takes a little bit more than just launching something new.
no
I do
no
understand what you're saying in terms like Robinhood.
because they have insane distribution like Coinbase, right? Everyone launching L2, they don't have that distribution.
But
Coinbase, like
not just about, to be honest, I think it's not just about distribution. I think it's like understanding the developer and like native crypto punk, sorry, cypherpunk, like a very crypto ethos, native ethos, which I think Coinbase is like the only American company. Like Gemini could have done it. Gemini is pretty decent. Kraken could have done it. All these companies, but they're very. Oh fuck! It hit $100 now. Oh fuck! I think Coinbase is a very developer first. I think is the only American developer first company. Even Robinhood is a very consumer first, closed thing. I would not want to use Robin. I don't know. Like yeah, I don't know about the. I would not want to use, but I think yeah, I think that's the only reason Coinbase, like base, is they have like developer first approach.
Plus, KG, one thing you have to realize is the key audience for a chain and an exchange very different. So it requires
Yeah.
like dedication. It requires like a 5 or 6 year plan to actually roll it out. And then what I've seen a lot of times happening is that the exchange wants to launch an L2 or an L1, but then they realize like there's no mix with like the actual business. So what worked for Coinbase was that they're a publicly listed company, and like centralized sequence of revenue actually shows on the balance sheet. So it helps their token or like their stock in some way. I think that's the difference. I think one thing, KG, that we should actually talk about is, with Robert Lesner's project, Superstate, and the stuff that Kraken is doing with like the stocks
Equities.
on chain stuff. I think we will actually see a lot more crypto companies come do IPOs. Like the projects that can actually do IPOs will do IPOs in the hope that one day these US based stocks will be on the blockchain and you can actually trade them through an exchange. So this sort of golden period will actually induce a lot more IPOs, and this circle thing will obviously help. And they may follow similar mechanisms.
I think like if Circle was launching on like I don't know if Hyperliquid was listing Circle also, uh, I think
Yeah.
so many of the crypto traders will ape like crazy,
Oh,
and and like I think that's one of the things I'm really excited about to see. But yeah, I'm just like to kind of wrap up. One last thing we want to talk about is Hyperliquid. Jeff posted this thread on transparent markets and kind of sharing different arguments on why it's better to be more transparent than making it anonymous, like making it private. What are your like general thoughts on uh, this private markets and transparency side of Hyperliquid? And second is, I think you're also market making. You said on Fartcoin and Bitcoin. Like, what have you seen kind of the differences? Let's say doing it on a SEX versus Hyperliquid.
I don't see any difference, to be honest. Like you can be, so like I think Jeff talked about the fact that just pointing things, like you can be transparent and yet not be hunted. Like like there are so many like being James Wynn was a different thing altogether, but like you can be transparent. I think he talked about it somewhere there, like you can be transparent but not be hunted, and you can be it's all about transparency, like you, and like uh, market makers can on CXs can hunt you, like you don't even know what has happened. But so it's a different paradigm. I think it will be, and like I said, I do not have that much experience in market making or whatever. I'm just like a vibe market maker to learn things, and just with a very small size. Uh but you kind of know, even in TradFi, you kind of know where and who's bidding something at what hours, at what price, at what size, at what like I know a few TradFi guys who kind of can guess with a decent probability, who's doing what. So I don't see too much of a difference. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's my size is not size, so I don't know how it affects. But I don't, as long as it's secure, as long it is, it works, I think it should be fine. It should be fine. But yeah, this was an interesting, a lot of people came into talk about it. But so yeah, this was an interesting one. I agree. I got to learn a few things myself.
Yeah, 100%. It's kind of funny how during the same week, CZ comes out and says we need we need a privacy dex, and if someone is building it, DM me. So
Yeah,
that was quite funny.
yeah. This is an interesting time to follow the CX to DEX rotation. Yeah, for sure.
Awesome.
But
One final thing I wanted to.
you remember after FTX when this rotation was happening, like people were talking about that, like Gains Network, GMX. After the FTX thing, like it was all about DEXs. Why do you think this time is different than that time?
Just
The
a better
product is
product.
much better.
Uh,
That's it.
just a much better product, and it's a order book. It's not a AMM based, pool based. It's a very different, fundamentally very different. And we never even close to saw $1 billion $1 billion position on there was not even close. I think the max on GMX was a few hundred, not even a few hundred mil, I think. But maybe I'm wrong. But even it was extremely expensive to open a nine-figure position. I remember it was I remember someone posting the maths over there. But yeah, it's a very different game.
What,
Yeah.
what did you think of
Uh,
the Binance US thing?
I mean,
that's
I don't know.
actually.
I don't know how much volume it has. I have no clue.
Yeah, someone posted the other day that it's doing like 5 million or 10 million in volume. So that's like nothing, right?
It
It
doesn't do. It
needs,
doesn't have volume.
yeah, I think it's just a signal that Binance, like the bigger one, they'll list soon. Uh, yeah.
No,
Yeah, one final
it,
thing on Hyperliquid.
it doesn't have any relation to Binance. I mean, hardly any.
Yeah, maybe just for the US investors, they just wanted to list it for just for that audience, maybe.
Yeah, that's it. That's the only thing.
Yeah. One final thing on Hyperliquid before we wrap up is on the segment is that a lot of people said that instead of just fighting Hyperliquid, why don't you join them by just launching on and integrating on the back end and taking the 50-50 in the fees? Uh, do you see that happening anytime soon where big players just launch these perp markets? And I think that's when the parabolic run for the hype will start, where thing like $1 million hype are being purchased and the TVAPs are in hundreds of millions and people are trying to launch these new markets. I think that's when the parabolic run will start. What do you think? Like, are people
I
just on
think.
the back end side and HIP3? What are your
Oh
thoughts?
yeah, I think 100% it happens. I think for sure there'll be a lot of buys when we see the next correction, if not already. I for sure see this happening. This is yeah, if hype is at 25, 22, 25, I think a lot of people are gonna just or you can even do the liquid pool hype based on to pool together that. I think that is a big unlock for that, and I'm sure there have been some chats in some discussions in some chats around that. And I think, yeah, I agree. I think the next run on this would just run it to 200, 300, or whatever. So like I think it happens. Yeah, I think it happens. I don't know how many, but I'm sure we'll see something.
Awesome. I think we can pause here and awesome. Hamzah, thanks so much. Yeah.
And
All
we're
right.
back. KG,
And we are back.
we should have like a sponsor. Then these pauses would make a lot more sense. Uh,
Soon. We just got someone to do our thumbnails.
yeah, bro.
So we are upgrading. So let's see. Yeah, I think you got a cool background, man. Where you at?
I'm in Vietnam, bro. I came for Solana APAC Summit.
How's everything there? Like, what's the sentiment down there? And
Bro,
yeah,
sentiment's actually pretty wild. So when I was coming to my hotel from the airport, they're like this big posters of like Solana APAC Summit, Penang, and everything. And my cab driver was actually just asking me like, "Hey, what's Solana?" And so in Vietnam, they don't like English is not a first language. So it was like on Google Translate, and it didn't come out Solana. It came out like something weird. Like I had to make out like he was talking Solana. He actually told me like a lot of his friends, like other cab drivers, actually hold Solana, and he's now thinking about it as well. So I thought that was interesting. I think what Solana does really well, and something that I've always talked about from like the wormhole perspective, whenever I'm at one of these conferences that is like chain specific, especially Solana, I'm sat at the booth for like 8 hours. Okay. Whenever I meet
damn.
someone who is on Solana, they're always talking about how they can bring more liquidity to Solana. And then interestingly, there are actually other chain projects here as well. I'm not going to say out with chains. I think that's going to bearish, but those projects are coming to me and talking about how they can sort of go multi-chain on Solana. So I think the appetite from builders to build on Solana is super high. Yeah, I've been talking to a lot of local people as well, like people who live in Vietnam. This is actually one of the more bullish conferences they've seen in the past 2 years. So I think it's up. One thing that I have noticed as well, I was going to tweet this out, but I'll just say it here. Um, I think as AI gets better, uh, some of these countries where like India, people are know a lot more English. Our schooling is in English, so we're a lot more comfortable with the language, and our like both written and spoken English is up to the mark at like an advanced level. In countries where English is not taught or it's not a priority language, with AI getting better, you'll actually see a lot more builders come out of the space because they're able to interact with like Western capital. Like I don't know if you saw that Google sort of speech to text thing where it would instantly translate on video call. I think those kind of things will progress, and we'll actually see this playing field level out a little bit more, where people who don't speak English are able to build projects and do pretty cool stuff. Because if you think about it, like someone from a country where they don't speak English, they can only hire talent in that country. They can only interact with investors in that country. It's just going to broaden horizons a lot more. So I think like that's also one thing that a lot of these people have told me. Like it's just gotten a lot easier to communicate because of AI. I think we see that trend growing a lot faster. And as like I see a future where someone like an open AI will probably create a device that will translate like text instantly, like you're wearing like an AirPod and you can instantly figure out what the other person is saying. Like language is just like a mode of communication at that point. Like everything is just going to be run by AI. And as it gets better replicating emotion and like tone and everything, I think it'll get a lot better. So yeah, I think the playing field levels out pretty soon.
Super interesting. I think Vietnam is. I know I don't have the data, but I think when we used to do the traffic where it comes from, it's always like in the top three, right? Top three or top five.
Yes, bro. Yeah. Um, it's definitely top five, like for every country, bro. Like the amount of people who are interested in crypto overall in Vietnam is just huge. Yeah, interestingly, like my cab driver wanted to come to the conference, and I sent him the link. I was like, "Bro, it's free. Don't worry. Just pop up." He
I
didn't
think
come. I don't know if he's not. But yeah,
that makes me want to sell all my soul. Yeah, I don't have it, but makes me. Uh, yeah. Anyway, I want to talk about Kaito, man. Like I think a lot of this InfoFi stuff. We saw this Laudio experiment. We are seeing like so many of these new things pop up. Kaito is expanding to TikTok and Instagram. They're posting there, and they'll soon track that. Uh, like, what do you make of this Kaito run so far? I think it's one of the best businesses. People hate on what this whole thing is doing to a timeline, but they have made $50 million. Their token is $2 billion, 2 billion FTV, I think. So they have built something that market clearly there's a demand for. What are your thoughts on the recent Kaito boom? Like, just from even a marketing standpoint, a growth standpoint, are you bullish on these leaderboard stuff? Are you bullish on this kind of
I,
InfoFi stuff?
I don't know, bro. Honestly, I have like really mixed views. There's like two sides of this debate. There's like the pre-TGE era and the post-TGE era. Before that, I do want to say like I wanted to write an article on this, but then everyone wrote an article on it, which was kind of like like I saw at least 7 articles on the same topic talking the same stuff. So like if I condense it down to like the most simplest level, Kaito is just questing, but with less steps. It's like automatic questing. Like, so what if AI slop is dominating your timeline? Like, that's just bullish for people to participate in that. If people see their friends posting about it and it's AI slop in like a third world, even in India, bro. Like, if you see one of your Indian friends posting, you'll actually want to know about it. It's a signal that someone is farming it, and you will also want to farm it. Engagement is like the first thing you can do, and then you obviously have like a testnet campaign to back it up. So I think from a pre-TG marketing standpoint, like you should do it, and you like we've seen it happen a lot where you get a lot of engagement out of it. What I am interested in seeing is how this Instagram and TikTok thing pops up. Uh, I genuinely want my Instagram timeline to be filled with like random tickers. I want my girlfriend's Instagram to be filled up with these random tickers as well. So I think that'll be interesting. But I don't know, bro. I think it's bullish. Like if your friend is farming something, why wouldn't you want to farm it? Like even if it's AI slop. And the reason why it's AI slop is because people want to farm it. Um, One thing to take away from this as well is if people are posting AI slop in terms of farming a protocol, maybe your testnet campaign or whatever you've created is just not good enough. Like it's not simple enough for them to farm the actual chain. Like airdrop farming has been around for so long. People do it with thousands of like not thousands, like tens of wallets. If they don't understand what to do on chain and they're farming it on Twitter, like there's a big disconnect in what they should do on chain as well. So I think that's probably the only advice as a marketer for any project that sees a lot of AI slop but not enough users.
Yeah, I think even I have like a mixed view on it. One of the reasons I was kind of bearish a couple of weeks back on Kaito is that the business is great, and but I just felt like at some point this whole thing will become norm and everyone will do it, and someone will come in and offer everything for cheap, maybe 10 cents on what Kaito is doing, and they'll kind of the market share and it kind of consolidates, and we will see new players emerge. But clearly, the team is ready to innovate and kind of do these different experiments. One of the, for me, what is, I think, Thomas, I think from Wormhole, he tweeted like, if your first community campaign is a Kaito leaderboard, you're not gonna make it. You know, I found that very kind of interesting, and I was like, that's so true, right? Like, if you haven't really tried to build at least people of 100 people, and you couldn't convince 100 people to join your community or be active, how are you going to convince thousands of people just with incentives, short-term incentives? So I think that is pretty evident where these companies they give Kaito hundreds of thousands of dollars and millions in airdrop rewards, and the mindshare will go up like this, and after TG it just crashes, right? Mindshare crashes, the token price goes just down only, and no one even remembers what the project is and what it does or anything, right? It's just irrelevant because you haven't built that flywheels or interesting products enough that people actually care. But on the other side, where it actually worked is you actually have a cool product, right? And people are talking about it. And like for example, Infinix, right? I never like engaged with the product or saw anything, but I've seen like probably 20, 30 Infinix threads on timeline. And I was like, okay, let's just check this out, what it's up. And then I found myself like, okay, this is actually something pretty cool. I may not use it like as my regular kind of managing assets across chains and stuff, but it's a cool product and I tried it out, right? So I think you have to have a product at the end of the funnel where all this
Yeah,
attention is being directed to. Unless you have that, you all this money you have spent will just be like any other marketing stuff you do, and it's not going to be
bro,
worth anything.
I'll
And
say, I'll give you another take. If your timeline is filled with AI slop, it's because the algorithm wants you to see, like you want the algorithm to show you AI slop. So if you're seeing AI slop on the timeline, it's not because it's Kaito, it's actually Twitter, and you're actually engaging with those things. It's like if I start watching cricket videos on Twitter, like my whole field is filled with like Virat Kohli RCB stuff, and then I have to go to my following and then like some crypto stuff to change it back. So I think this whole thesis of like, hey, it's AI slop is bullshit. Um,
no,
Twitter
I
shows
think
you. See,
no. What I'll say to that is, it's not like people are you like seeing ChatGPT threads or stuff. It's that people who you regularly follow engaging in these campaigns just for the rewards. Like someone who always talks about Solana or something and is suddenly talking about some ghost chain, it kind of feels weird, right? Like why is this person talking about this? And you kind of feel bearish on that person and the type of signals they give and the influence they have, right? So I think people are getting tired of that. But I see like this whole thing as long-term thing where we will see this whole attention economy expand beyond Twitter, and it's going to be super interesting how they do it. But uh, so many of the
bro,
metrics that we usually
you're-
track,
if you see someone who's a soul maxi who's suddenly talking about some random thing, just unfollow them or mute them, right? Like if you know they are yapping and they're just farming some airdrop, just mute them, right? Like that's what I'm saying. The algorithm will show you, like if you are engaging with that thread, that's the only instance where the algorithm will actually show you more of those things. Which makes me come back to like my last point. Like you saw Infinix threads and then you went to the product. That is what InfoFi actually promotes, in my opinion. The other thing I'll say to that is, how you said someone would offer it for cheap. I actually don't think that's going to happen because Kaito now has a brand name associated with it. I actually don't think Cookies does as well as Kaito because Kaito was the first one to do it. Like if you think about Galaxy and Zili back in the day, like Galaxy obviously won. It doesn't come back to who's offering it for cheaper. It comes back to who the user trusts more. And if people have already made money off Kaito, they will always prefer Kaito, which is why Kaito can continue charging whatever they want. I think what's more interesting is if Kaito is going to give, like, if they're going to start buying their token back. If they're making so much money, why
yeah, they
hasn't that
are.
happened? They are.
Yeah, no, no. I think yeah, they're not buying it like millions of something, but they do have like a buyback thing in place where uh from staking or some rewards or something they're gonna buy back slowly, and I think they have already bought back over $1 million in Kaito. What I really like about the token in specific is there are so many ways, like things built in for people to buy the token itself, right? It's like one of those things where you have perpetual yield on something like this as long as projects are willing to partner with Kaito. Whereas as long as you're staking a good amount of Kaito and there's demand for Kaito, you're gonna keep getting airdrops after airdrops after airdrops, right? Like, uh, and the price also probably appreciates in good conditions, but you'll get those airdrops. That's why I think a lot of the demand is coming from, and it's going to be pretty interesting what happens. Like at some point, I do think everything will like kind of die off, and people will be in the marketing department seeing is it like worth it to spend this much amount of money for an integration like this? And I think this makes sense when everything is bullish, and obviously people do that in these conditions. But it's going to be interesting, right? Like right now there are 40 leaderboards. I think that's too many. Uh, and they have this different mechanisms in place where you can't farm everything. If you're farming everything, your loyalty score or something will be affected, and that will affect your rewards. I think we should see more of that kind of moderation happening for this to work. But yeah, I mean, I'm not really bullish on the whole InfoFi stuff, but I like these experiments, to be honest. Like, something will stick at some point and something will run so crazy. The Laudio one was pretty predictable in my opinion. Like, even though the mind share, all that is crazy, but it was pretty predictable. Like, no one's gonna buy that shit. Uh, but yeah, man, I'm excited. Like, what happens? But
I don't know if you saw my text on the Telegram the other day. I was the so what I said was obviously something building on top of Kaito that adds value to Kaito will rank higher on mindshare on Kaito. Like I thought it was a good experiment. Um, like Laudio was technically a good experiment. But yeah, bro, like I don't know. I didn't participate in the whole Laudio thing. So I didn't make any money off it. Um, yeah.
yeah, so yeah, I mean, it's kind of a good experiment, but let's see what happens. I also want to
I
talk about Launchcoin for a
Yeah, go for it.
yeah. I want to talk about Launchcoin for a minute before we wrap up.
Yeah.
My thesis around like this whole what happens with Soul and what happens with memes. I think like if PumpFun is bearish memes, the money has to flow into something else on Solana. And one narrative that is kind of holding its ground is this internet capital markets meta. And people are still talking and kind of bullish about the kind of businesses coming out of Launchcoin and Believe app. Uh, so it's if memes die and they don't really get a bid, which I think they will do. I still think memes are the best bet if you're risk on. But if they are bearish, I think stuff like Launchcoin and some other ones I won't name, which are very low cap, but the money could flow into them, right? And uh, it's like if PumpFun is for memes, Launchcoin is for real businesses, and PumpFun is valued at $4 billion, and this thing is valued at 150 million. So if more good businesses come out of Launchcoin, people will start making that comparison to Pump Fund and saying this could, at least reprice to 500 million or something because Pump Fund is valued at 4 billion. So I think that kind of rotation can happen. Uh, but I know these launchpad games are pretty tricky when markets are not good. And but yeah, I'm super interested and dialed in on the Sol ICM meta again. But yeah, I mean, what are you doing on chain, bro?
Bro, actually, like, to your point, like the last point, I know we covered this with Hamza Bhai a lot, but I actually don't think the pump fund, and I'm going to be called out for a lot for this, but I actually don't think if pump fund does an airdrop and they launch a token, I don't think it marks the end. I think it's going to have like a Jito moment for memes in general. Like imagine the virtual token flywheel, but for pump. Like maybe the bonding curve is filled with pump. Maybe the LP pools are now pump. Like I, like Alan on the team is just going to figure out ways to integrate the token so that you have to interact with the token to do certain things. I think one thing that will make it interesting is would they convert the soul back to pump the token or what are they going to do there? I think it's still ambiguous, but I do think with the airdrop, people are not like people who are in the trenches and we're in a lot of these groups. I don't think those people are going to sell pump if the only way to buy tokens on pump fund is with pump. They'll probably just hold on and then ape into other stuff. So you'll actually see more liquidity come in, and the trenches are just going to fly off again because the trenches are heating up a little bit. Like that's what I'm feeling. The best metric that I have for this is how many contract addresses do I see in group chats, and like I have notifications on. The number of CAs I've been seeing this week is like significantly higher than last week. So I actually don't think it's dead. I think it's just going to start like a new wave of meme coins. The other thing I do think is really interesting to like Hamza's point about memes dying, and I just thought of this when we paused. I think I think it's true. Like we talked about NFTs the same way. I think people were bullish on the metaverse the same way. But I think the way that meme coins progress, and you talk about like this standardized launch pad, whatever, I think we move away from like a meme coin, like a launchpad mechanism where the price discovery happens with the people bidding it, to something like polymarket where it's more odd spaced. Maybe it's more about like there's like some sort of info layer like Kaito monitoring every platform, and they're like, okay, this is like the overall sentiment of this token, and then the you can bet on how the sentiment goes up and down. Like I think for something like a Joe Biden or a Trump, that sort of betting mechanism is a lot easier. Like think of noise for Kaito, but for like memes in general on like every market, and it's maybe something like poly market. Maybe I don't know. I know the maths there don't work because price discovery on a meme coin only makes sense with buyers and sellers. And what I'm talking about is more of betting on um, popularity based on statistics. But I'm pretty sure that's the next wave of like meme coin adoption, or like memes
Yeah.
attention in.
Yeah, I think there'll be like some iteration happening, and it's gonna mark like a big shift. I think at least on the Solana side, what will happen there? I mean, I will be bullish as long as they'll airdrop people, because I don't know, man. Like you already made hundreds of millions, you have another billion. If they airdrop a good amount to like the early, like all these trench guys, like all the people, all these big traders, RNG cups, yeah, I mean they're gonna feast on this airdrop. Like I've
Everything.
seen someone like on their top 20 or 15, someone do around 21st person or someone, Mr. Frog or someone, they paid $1 million in fees to PumpFun over like in the
Wow,
last 12, which is insane. Paying a
that's
million
wild, bro.
dollars in fees. Uh, he he did like 100 million in trading volume, and he paid like I don't know how much, but someone said a million in fees. So if you don't reward those people, like it's gonna be like crazy. Like people are gonna be
Bro,
furious,
the
and
thing that people don't realize is every retail, like we talked about PVE season, whatever you want to call it. Like my friends who are not crypto native were involved in that. Like this pump airdrop is actually going to be the first airdrop for a lot of retail, which is something that we don't talk about a lot. So it will like I hope it ends up like a Jito moment where I don't know if you remember like 2023, I want to say, like when everything was dead, the Jito airdrop just pumped everything, bro. Like it just brought Solana back. This will have a similar effect. Its price action on Sol, I don't know, and I don't want to comment on because I don't have views on. But overall, for like meme coins and pump, I think it's bullish, bro. I think it's like up only for
let's see. I don't have any thoughts on the Solico because I'm not outside of one coin I bought that is shared in our channel. I'm not really buying anything outside of just Hyperliquid and some ETH coins. I don't know, but let's see. It's a very big week for crypto. Very high signal that Circle is trading so high, and it's already hit circuit breaker. They had to halt it, and we might be seeing a ton more IPOs. And the I don't know, like I don't know. We should do we should do an episode on crypto stocks covering
now.
Galaxy
Oh
and stuff. So
yeah.
stay tuned for that. Uh, but yeah, super fun episode today. Hope you guys enjoyed. See you on the next one.
All right. Thanks, KJ.